All right, welcome back to Hennhouse Podcast. This is episode number 8, and today we are joined by Swart. Louis, welcome.
Thanks, mate. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun conversation, and then I'm going to have some questions for you that I'll need your expertise on. So just go ahead and give a quick introduction for what you do.
So I help people. I've got virtual assistants. I've got staff offshore. I've got staff in the Philippines, Egypt, Nepal, South Africa. And I also do AI. So I help companies to be able to work out what they should be delegating and where to delegate it to. A little bit why you should listen to me, I suppose. I mean, I'm just some bloke that's telling you should delegate. My last business we grew it to turning over 35 million, 450 staff. I've done the delegation. Time I was 30, I'd sold a business for 5 million, 200 staff. I've had epic fails. I had a plumbing business I tried to sell. Wasn't worth anything because I hadn't learned how to delegate. The broker said, "Who does this?" And I was like, I do it. And he said, "Look, your business is worth nothing." So I've been there. I've done the hard yards. I've learned those mistakes the hard way. But I'd love to share with you some ways that you don't have to do them the hard way.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really cool that you've had that high level, that large company. So you've done delegation at scale. So I guess just starting from that kind of top level, what does someone at that level of business think about when they're delegating?
That's a very good question. We literally just, you just want to get it done. I just want it done. Okay. I don't care how you do it. I don't care who you got to talk to, what you've got to do. I just want it done because this is part of a bigger picture that I'm working on. So when you're at that level, we're looking at what's the bigger picture. Okay. And then what do we need to accomplish that bigger picture? And then all the people that you're delegating stuff to, or the systems you're delegating stuff to, are they helping you towards that bigger picture? A good example would be somebody like Elon Musk. Look at him. I mean, he wants to get a spaceship to the moon. He's not the guy saying, "Hey, are we going to use copper wire or aluminium wire on this piece of the?" He's not doing that. You know what I mean? He's just going, am I going to have a conversation? Is this conversation going to help me to get that rocket on the moon? That's it. That's literally Mars, not even the moon.
Mm-hmm. So I think what I'm hearing is just thinking of that. You have to have that big picture from the top, and then just figure out what makes sense for you to focus your time on, and then figure out how to delegate out those other things. Absolutely.
So Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, both of them had absolute singularity of focus. So Steve Jobs he came into Apple, he left Apple under weird circumstances, but Apple had a whole lot of different products, and he came back in again and he said, shut down all these departments and let's focus on one thing that we can be good on. He created the iPhone. That's literally the singular focus. So it's how do we get to that in our business? And we can't be running around doing everything, because then we just can never ever get to that level.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm kind of going through this right now. I'm nowhere near 450 employees. I think I'll have one employee starting next week. And something for me that I'm thinking about long term is how am I going to be able to have that laser-like focus and a vision and for exactly what I want, but also let go of the reins a little bit and allow somebody to do that at what's likely going to be of lesser quality than what I would do it myself.
Excellent question, man. Really, really cool question. Okay, so two of the biggest things is trust and control. These are two of the biggest things that you're going to face when you're doing this. And for example, on the control, I can tell you, when I was younger, I went to a mentor once and I'm like, man, people are bloody idiots. I can't get them to do what I want them to do. They don't even want to work through lunch. They literally don't even want to work through lunch. They're not doing all the stuff I want them to do. 5 o'clock, they want to just pack up. They literally want to pack up and go home at 5 o'clock. I was working till 11 o'clock at night. This guy said to me, Louis, do you think you could get somebody to do 60% of what you do? Now, let's face it, you'd have to be pretty egotistical, hey, to go, well, you can't do 60% of what I can do. So I said, yeah, somebody could do 60%. Yeah, they could do 60% of what you could do. He said, Louis, so you go there, you put that person in. Now you're accomplishing 160% of what you used to do. You put in the second person, now you're accomplishing 220% of what you used to do. And then you just grow those numbers. So literally, if you think about it like that, don't try and find somebody that's going to do 100% like what you do it. That person doesn't exist. it's not their business. B, they haven't got a big picture goal. They're not working on the same vision. Like, this is your thing, you know? So don't try and find somebody that's going to do that. Secondly, don't try and find somebody that's going to do a little bit of everything, right? Ideally, don't try and find people come to me and they want a virtual assistant, okay? Louis, I want a virtual assistant. This is what I want. I want somebody that's super creative and they're going to go on my social media and make posts and everything. And then I want them to do all the reconciliation on my bank accounts. And I'm just like, whoa, hang on. The person who's doing the recons on your bank accounts, they are not the creative person. Okay, the creative person will do 1 or 2 recons and then be bored out of their brain and start making mistakes, right? The person who's great at the recons, they're going to do creative, but they're going to play it super, super safe. And so it's not going to be like very creative. So you're looking for different human skill sets to be able to accomplish that. And so it's literally just saying, well, what are the skills that you need? And then finding people that fit into those skill sets and then putting the right person in the right place.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. And it makes perfect sense, but I've never thought of it like that, where you have to, from the top, having that laser-like focus, then decide what you want to delegate out and make sure that that person who's going to be doing the new job has laser-like focus on that thing as well. I guess that's a really good way to frame it. I had written here, what should a business owner delegate first? But I'm realizing now that it really depends. And so I will ask the question, how can a business owner choose what they should delegate first? Or what are signs that it's time to finally delegate that first thing?
You know, there's a very easy way to do this. If I do my credit card reconciliation, I literally can do credit card reconciliation for like, I don't know, if I do half an hour of credit card reconciliation, I need to go and have a nap. Okay? I am exhausted, right? Because again, I could be on a podcast 18 hours a day. I'd be happy as Larry. I come off a podcast. I'm like, sweet. I'm revved up. Where's the next podcast? Because one of them gives me energy and one of them just sucks my energy like there's no tomorrow. So what should you delegate? What is sucking your energy? What task do you do now and you go, I'm exhausted, man. I need to go and have a nap. Hey, that was hard. Right? What is that task? Because that's the first task that you should delegate. Because as a business owner, you need heaps of energy. And the only way to keep your energy is literally keep yourself in that zone. What's that zone that keeps you energized? The stuff that doesn't keep you energized, get somebody to do it. So like my recon. Somebody does my recon, and then they come to me and they say, Louis, I've done the recon. And I have a quick look and I'm like, yep, that's good. Like it takes me 5 minutes and I'm like, sweet, done. Okay. And I'm at the point now where they do the recon and I don't even check it because I know that they've done it so many times. They know what they're doing. And so that's kind of where you want to get. You want to get to that point where there's stuff that's draining you and you're not doing, stuff that's invigorating you, you're doing.
Isn't it so fascinating that the things that might just ruin your day and my day would just make someone else's day? Like there are people out there who just can't wait to wake up in the morning and do credit card reconciliation.
It actually blows my brain. I mean, my brain can't really get my head around accounts people. I'm just like, why would you do that?
Yeah. I
I
do hire out for bookkeeping and all that kind of stuff because I that's the only class that I failed at university was accounting. It just doesn't click for me. And I'm very good at math, but something about looking at those balance sheets. I mean, I stopped going to the lectures, to be honest. I just hated it so much. And I think I'm one of those personalities that I need to be completely infatuated and enamored with what I have going on. And so it's been an interesting journey trying to figure out what the first thing for me to delegate was. And another thing, so the first guy that I had on this podcast, his name was Nathan Patterson, and he's a business strategy coach. And his big thing is that he helps turn CEOs into free EOs, where they basically get their time back to work on the business instead of in the business.
Beautiful.
And
I love that too.
I asked him a similar question of like, how do you decide what to delegate? And he answered it from a what is your time worth standpoint, which is if I'm doing things that I could be spending $20 an hour to have done for me, and I can go make $400 an hour, this is all just an example, by selling more of SEO, selling another website, or going and shaking those extra hands at the networking meetings, then that's obviously worth it. Then that's $380 profit, right? If you look at it that way. And so
I love it.
It's interesting that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it. There's the financial, there's the, yeah, I mean, I had to do some stuff earlier that I went and laid down on the couch for a second because I was like, oh, I wish I had someone for this.
But I'll tell you on a practical, guide, okay? So the energy is really, really important, okay? Because if you're energized, you're going to be pumping in your business. Now, if you're energized in the wrong thing, that's not going to help you, okay? You've got to work out, if you're energized in the wrong thing, you just got to change that thing so that you can actually, if you're energized in, like doing a low-level task, then that's going to burn you as well. So I've got a tool. Can I share a tool with you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's do it.
This tool, super high techy, okay, because I'm like majorly into AI, okay? So you need like super high tech stuff for this. This is the tool right here. Okay. Literally a post-it note. All right. So I'm going to tell you how it works. It works like this. No tech at all. Right. This is how it works. You pretty much, if you went and worked for a boss tomorrow, Tyler, they'd want you to come maybe 40 hours a week, hey, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. You'd probably be able to work like 50 weeks a year. So the maximum hours that you'd probably be working is about 2,000 hours. Yeah, 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, right? So now what I want you to do is I want you to say, how much do I want to earn? So do you have like a projected amount? What would you like to earn this next year?
Let's say 150,000.
Okay, cool. Can we make it 200?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So let's say it's 200,000, right? So if it's 200,000, what we want to do is we want to divide that by 2,000. Okay? So 200,000 divided by 2,000 gives you a figure of $100 per hour. So every hour, you have to earn $200 an hour. Now, even for your 150, you'd probably want to be at least $100 an hour. Now, what happens is you go to get to your figure, you got to do $100 an hour every hour. Now you go, I'm going to edit my own podcast. That's a $10 per hour task, okay? And you go, you know what, Louis, but I saved $10, say. I saved $10 by editing it myself. The reality is you're meant to make 100 that hour. You've actually lost $90. So the next hour, how much do you have to make? You got to make the 100, plus you got to make back the $90 you lost. So you got to make 190, and then you go, this is too hard. I can't earn this kind of money, right? Because it's pure mathematics. We started $100 an hour. We do a whole lot of $10 an hour. We literally lost. The more $10 an hour you do, you just can't catch up. There just isn't enough space up here to catch up back to those hours. So you want to keep it 100, nothing below that. Nothing below that. Because anything below that's going to completely wipe out your annual figure. Now, you take that figure and you write it on a post-it note. And you write $100 an hour on a post-it note, just a post-it note like this. And you literally stick it on your monitor. You stick it on your wall. You put it on your whiteboard, your cupboard behind you. You put it somewhere where it's completely visible all the time. And you'll notice it the first couple of days, and then eventually it'll just kind of become a thing that's what I'm aiming for, the $100 an hour. Now, every time you're doing a task, I want you to look up at the $100 and just go, would I pay somebody $100 an hour to do this? So if you were editing your podcast, look it up and go, would I pay Louis $100 an hour to edit my podcast? And you know that feeling you got in your stomach, okay? It's probably like, hell no, of course I wouldn't pay Louis. That's freaking ridiculous, okay? There's no way I'm paying him $100 an hour. Like, it's a rip-off. But that's what you're paying yourself. That's what you're paying yourself to do it. That's what it's costing you to do it. Mm-hmm. It's costing you $100 an hour to move these things in Canva and edit the podcast and, reach out to people and set up appointments on on something like Podmatch. And that stuff is costing you money. $100 an hour it's costing you. So if you can get somebody to do it for $10 an hour, what a bonus. You've actually made $90 for that hour of your time, and now you can take your time and you can go and build new lead magnets, work out how you can follow up with the podcast people and see what products they've got and how you can do affiliates with them and joint ventures and how you can help them with their own SEO and how you can build assets around that. That's worth $100 an hour.
Yeah.
So this is where you want to be playing. You got to earn $100 an hour. You want to be playing up here. But remember that reconciling your credit card is going to drain your energy. Okay. And you get somebody to do it for $10. So literally on two things, 100% you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. I love that. One thing I think that a lot of people, after hearing that, will need to be reminded of is that when you free that time up, you can't go like this. You have to go use that time wisely. That $100 an hour, you have to go actually make $100 an hour. You can't just say like, well, I could, right? So, but I love that. I'm gonna steal that. I'm literally gonna go take a postcard from my or a sticky note from my wife after this and write that on my. I'm gonna write 200. I'm gonna challenge myself.
Absolutely, because you don't really want to work 40 hours. You didn't go into business to work 40 hours.
Right.
So,
Right.
put 200 on there, and then you literally just ask yourself, would I pay somebody $200 an hour? And if it's no, don't do it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you'll see how quickly it's like having a vision board. If you've got a vision board, you're seeing it, but you're not necessarily seeing it. The vision board's there, and it kind of, but then all that stuff comes right because your subconscious is going like, hey man, that's the car we want, that's the car we want, that's the car we want. And you start looking out for that. The reticular activator system in your brain starts looking out for that. Exactly the same with this.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that'll help a lot of people.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest reasons that you see that delegation fails?
We give one person it's not their skills. We get the accounts person. We try and get them to create us social media. And unless we're an accounts person, they're going to create boring social media. And I mean, I'm sorry for all the accounts people out there. Love you. We couldn't do without you. But, to cater to their skills. Like the guy who's your sales guy, do not get him to do your reconciliation or your accounts. Because he's used to telling people that, this is what you're going to get, this massive thing, and they're actually getting this little thing over here. That's what he does for a living. So then he's got to try and do your accounts. It just doesn't work, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So we definitely want to make sure that we're delegating the right tasks to the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that, let's say that I'm just a master delegator and I can pick the right people to do the right
I'm sure
things
you
for
are.
me?
I'm sure you are.
I hope I am. Can I delegate too much too quickly?
You definitely can lose control of delegation. 100% you can. So you want to build in. My company is called Iron Bridge. And the reason it's called Iron Bridge is because I bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Right? That's the bridge part. The iron part is because iron, I don't know if you know, I live in Sydney, and the Sydney Harbour Bridge, they start painting this side and cleaning up the rust, and they work their way along. And then when they get to the other side, they literally come back to this side and then start on this side again. And it's the same with you. If you're creating systems and you're creating procedures, and you're going to put on your new VA now, and you definitely want systems and procedures, and you want, there's ways you can do it. That's super easy, right? But you could just give them something to do, and the way that it gets done could change between now and the way that you did it. So for example, let's do this. You're going to take on a new client for your SEO business, okay? And you go, okay, I want to make sure that I'm going to get paid. So I want 100 points of ID. I want their identification. That's part of what I do when I get a new client, just so I know that that client is actually the client, all right? So in my procedure, I say, okay, I want 100 points of ID. I want a driver's license and a passport. And I just go, well, everyone's got a driver's license and passport, because I don't think about the times when people didn't and I did something else. And I give that to my VA. Then my VA goes, and then I go, hang on, this person, I've only got a driver's license. What's going on? And they were like, Louis, he didn't have a passport. And I go, okay, that's a problem with my procedure. Because if they don't have a driver's license and a passport, then I want you to get a utility bill or a bank statement or something in that place, you know what I mean, to actually verify them. But if I just said, okay, you can onboard all the new clients and then just let them go, literally it could be chaos. You could literally get into trouble, okay? And with the delegating, what I do is I actually give people a small task. They talk about the spring. Have you ever held a spring in your hand? If you hold a spring in your hand like this, okay, and then you've got two ways that you can let it go. You can let it go like this, slowly, and you get to the top and the spring's cool, or you can just like, boom, let it go like this, and the spring bounces off and it's across the room somewhere and you've got to go and find it. And it's the same with the VAs. You want to literally give them a small task. Oh, wow, they did that great. What's the next task? Oh, wow, they're doing that great. And you're building trust, and you're building, you know that you've got trust, you know that they're following the systems, you know that they're the kind of person you want to work with, and then you can actually give them more and more, right? But we've got to be careful, because some stuff we would never want to give them. You'd never want to give them, there's obviously privacy laws with regards to credit cards, personal details, all that kind of stuff. But I can help you set that up. We just set up confidentially files where that stuff is, and the VAs don't have access to that. They've only got access to other stuff. You don't want them to have access to like your bank accounts not that we don't trust them. I don't trust anybody. Don't give them access to your bank accounts. Don't give them. They can go in and see they can see the stuff so they can reconcile your credit card, but they haven't actually got access to your credit card.
When you talked a little bit about getting that process correct, where that VA would never know if they don't have a passport, then you need to get a different means of identification unless you told them that, right? And so how much time would you spend upfront before you even have a VA trying to get those systems in place? And how much leeway can there be for updating your system along the way?
Awesome question. So I'll give you an example. I had a guy called me, and he was a buyer's agent, buying properties for people. And he said to me, Louis, I don't have any systems in my business, and I want to be able to sell my business one day, and I want some sort of processes, but I also need a virtual assistant. But I only want to get somebody. He said, it's probably going to take me 6 months to create the SOPs, the procedures. Let's do it in 6 months. And I said, the way that I personally would do it is I would hire a VA tomorrow, and I would say, I'm going to tell you how I do this. I want you to record it on Loom, and when I'm finished, I want you to make a procedure, and then I want you to follow that procedure, and then I want you to give me the outcome, and I want to see if the procedure works. Okay. So he said, okay, look, I'm willing to try it. He was doing about $15,000 a month. He said, look, I'm willing to try it. Literally within 6 months, he had 5 virtual assistants from me, and he was doing $150,000 a month. That was because he actually got the first virtual assistant. Every single process that you're going to do now, how are you going to do the process? You're going to sit there and try and write it down? You don't. If you were telling me your process, you just say, hey, Louis, when I onboard a new client, okay, these are the things I want you to look for. I want you to go to this file, and then I want you to look over here, and then I want you to get 100 points of ID, and then I want you to go and do a check on all their socials, and then I want you to do like an SEO through this website and do this and do that. And bang, you've explained it to me, and you've also created the process. Then the next one I go and do, and I bring it to you and I go, here's the report. And you go, hang on, something's missing. This doesn't seem like I would normally. Hey, sorry, I forgot to tell you there's a step here that I do that I didn't mention. Now that whole process you could do in a day or two, right? Literally you could do the SOP. The SOP would take you maybe, I don't know how long the procedure is, but let's say it's something that would take you half an hour to explain to somebody. In half an hour, you'd explain it. They'd go away. They'd come back with a full process, the full procedure. Then the next day, they'd try out the procedure. By the third day, you've got that procedure locked in. It's done. And why that's important? I'll tell you why it's important. AI is here. AI is changing how we do stuff every minute of the day. So the way that I did stuff yesterday is not the most efficient way today. Is it okay if I give you a couple of examples?
Yeah, please. All
right. So when I have a meeting, like I'm going to meet with you now, and I go, okay, I want to come into a meeting, but I kind of want to have an idea. Okay, what does Hen do? What does Tyler do? What's the Hennhouse? How does that work? So I've got a virtual assistant, and now what she would do is she'd go on the internet and she'd search for you. She'd search your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Instagram, your website. She'd search for everything about you on the internet. And then she'd write me up a report. She actually used to type up a report. Then we started using AI. We went, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to get all this stuff. We're going to feed all this stuff into AI, and then we're going to do up a business report. Okay, still the virtual assistant, but she's just doing it like this. Then about 4 months ago, I was like, man, AI has gone so fast. We need to get a better procedure. So we went to N8N. You can build agents in N8N. We went on N8N. We did APIs into the back of Google. We did APIs into the back of my Gmail. We did all this stuff, right? built this amazing meeting notes. But the meeting note wouldn't attach to my Google Calendar, wouldn't update to my Google Drive. It was giving us some issues. Anyways, about 3 weeks later, we had a working model. Then about 2 months later, 2 months ago, I downloaded Hermes. Do you know Hermes? Have you heard of Hermes?
Mm-hmm. I haven't used it, but I've heard about it.
So I got Hermes. Hermes is running on a laptop. I got a laptop in the bookshelf. Hermes is on the laptop, and I did the meeting notes. And now I just went in and I was like, I use Whisperflow. I don't know if you use Whisperflow, so I can just I can just talk to my computer or my, whatever. And I went through and I just did Whisperflow, and I'm like, this is what I'm trying to do. This is who I want you to go to my Google Calendar. I want you to see everybody that's on there, and then I want you to create meeting notes for me. And then I want you to take those and attach those to my Gmail, to my Google Calendar. Okay, bang! In about an hour, I had it. Was doing it. Was doing the stuff that took them 3 months. It took me 3 or 4 months to do with N8N and a team. I now just did this all on my own. Then Claude's there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play with Claude. So I got Claude, and I did the Claude code. And I'm like, let me set this up on Claude Code. So I went on Claude Code and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Every time I've got a meeting on my calendar, I want you to go into the internet. I want you to scan the whole internet. I want you to scan LinkedIn profiles, all the socials. I want you to find out everything about this person. But at the same time, I want a second agent to go into my personal Gmail, my personal Google Drive. And I wanted to look if I've got that person. So is Tyler anywhere in my personal drive? Okay. And this other one's looking on the internet. And then I want both of you to come back together, and I want you to create me a report for the meeting. Then I want you to take that report, and I want you to actually, if Tyler doesn't have an account in my Google Drive, in my client folder, I want you to create an account in my client folder under Tyler's name, and I want you to put that meeting report in there. I also want you to take that meeting report and I want you to attach it onto the meeting that I've got with Tyler. I did that whole thing in about literally an hour. I now have a thing where you book a meeting on my calendar. My Claude Code goes in, scans the internet, finds out everything about you, goes on my computer, says to me, hey, Louis, you met with Tyler before. Nice guy. You guys spoke about X, Y, Z. Here's some business opportunities that you guys could talk about. Attaches that onto my Google Calendar, attaches that into your file on under my potential clients. How amazing is that? So that's what I'm saying. Now, had I had the process, had I spent like 3 days getting the process, I would have had to change that process completely when I got N8N. And then I would have had to change it completely when I got Hermes. And then I would have had to change it again when I got Claude. And this is literally how fast we're going. That's all in the space of the last maybe 5 months.
Yeah. I'm actually working on something similar to help me with my, I don't like calling it a sales process because I feel like it always goes smoother than that for me, but my sales process, for lack of a better term.
Your funnel.
And basically the funnel. Yeah. And so what I'm working on is a system that will take all the transcripts in and provide long-term training, both for myself and for if I ever bring someone on, basically what meetings went the best and what was true in those meetings. And that basically ends up being a kind of that beacon of truth for this is how we sell this product and this is how we provide that value. And it can even get as specific as like, okay, well, this was a chiropractor in this state. Like this is what happened to work for them. Now, for that to be super effective, I would have to probably be trying to sell SEO to multiple chiropractors in that state for us to get differing data between chiropractors and states. But it's better to have it than to not have it, right? And I actually, for the first time since I have really been going in on the SEO thing, which has been the last few months of last year and then all of this year, and it's been amazing. I've been so blessed. For the first time last Friday, I got stumped in a meeting. I'm used to having multiple hours to explain, and my mantra is I try to meet in person with people because I just think it's much more personal experience in this world of AI that we're in.
Yeah.
I think people are longing for real human interaction. So I always try to meet in person. And when we sit down, the first thing I say is, I'm going to tell you exactly what I do, how I do it, and why it works. And I'll show you what a good month looks like for SEO and what a bad month looks like, and what I would do in either of those cases. And so by the end of the meeting, they could basically go explain SEO to somebody if they wanted to. And I think that gives people, that empowers people, because SEO is a marketing channel that's very gate kept. And
Yes.
it's over and over we hear like, oh, my last guy said, I asked him what was going on after 6 months with no result. And he's like, oh, just be patient. SEO is a long game.
That's the favorite, eh? That's the favorite. The favorite.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
and there is some aspect of that to it. Like SEO, if you win overnight, then your guy's probably doing some shady stuff, and Google's probably gonna, whack your site in a couple months, because that's just how it is. If you're having easy, quick wins in SEO, it's you're not doing it the right way. And so I try to live by those good practices.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so anyway, so I'm used to an hour or two, and I get 20 minutes into this call, and the person is like, I have to go in 10 minutes. I was like, oh, that's never happened before. What do I do? And so I kind of, I panicked a little bit and had to kind of get through it. And I was able to send them a quote, but it really threw me off. And I luckily had the transcript, and I kind of went through it with a GPT and was like, what could I have done? And it gave me some feedback that I thought was really great. And so it inspired me to basically start working on this thing of long-term sales training based on the exact conversations that were had. So
I love it.
yeah.
Can I give you a couple of tips?
Yeah.
If you take the transcript from that meeting, put it into ChatGPT and say, can you please do a disc profile on this person? And can you also tell me if they're a big picture or a detailed thinker? And that will immediately fix your problem. Because what you're explaining is you're explaining a big picture person who's like, I just want the SEO done, and you're telling me how to do it. I don't care how to do it, mate. I'm running out of time. Just do it. Right? Big picture guy, like just get it done. Like, I just want to get the rocket there. I don't care how you do the engine, just get the rocket there. Yeah. Detail person, tell me exactly how many coilings are we putting on the motor. Okay. So that's the prompt that I'll put into my GPT. When I finish a meeting, I put in the transcription and I say, do me a disc profile. You know the disc profile? I'd say, do me the disc profile. Tell me if they're a big picture person or a small picture person. Okay, and then based on that information and my personality, how could I have done this better?
I love that. I'm going to add that into my system.
Yeah, because what it does is it gives you a much better idea of how to talk to the person. Like if I'm a big picture thinker, like literally, I just want to know, okay, I'm going to do SEO for you, mate. I'm going to get your website up there. I'm going to give you a guarantee. If I don't get it up there, literally, you don't have to pay me. And I'm like, sweet, that's good enough for me. I don't care how you do it. I don't want to know about SEO. Just get it done for me. Do it. Whereas a detailed person's going to like, and so what are you going to do different to what the other guy did?
So if my whole sales process and my whole like mantra of the way that I offer value is kind of propped up on the detail oriented process, how do I adapt to someone who just wants me to do it? Like, how do you, because they still need to trust me. So so how do I get the trust, I guess, quickly?
So you know the book, How to Make Friends and Influence People? The trust has got nothing to do with the SEO. It's got nothing to do with how you do SEO. People are going to remember 10% of, they're cool. They remember 10% of what you told them, 10% of what they saw, 80% of how you made them feel. So how do you make them feel valued? Because they will trust you. In the book, Dale Carnegie says, he talks about this guy, everyone's trying to sell this guy. I can't even remember what it was, paper or something. And this guy goes in and everyone just says, look, you only get a 2-minute, you can get like a 5-minute meeting. That's it. And he doesn't really talk to salespeople. He gets a meeting and he walks in and he sees a picture. And he says, I see that you do, let's say, sailing. I see you do sailing as well. And he's like, yeah. And so they end up talking for like half an hour or an hour about sailing and all this different stuff and how they, and then at the end, when he's leaving, he says, what do you do, mate? And he says, well, I sell paper or whatever. And he's like, well, just tell the lady on the way out that we're now going to be using you. Right. And it's literally that's an exaggerated version. But that's literally what it is. You're going to finish this call and you're either going to go, Louis was like full of nonsense, or he was an okay guy, right? And it's not going to be what I said. It's going to be the way that I came across to you. It's going to be how much I spoke in your kind of language, And I mean, that comes back to the, are you an audio person, a visual person, or a tactile person?
Are you asking me? Or are you just...
Do you know?
I am probably a visual person.
Now, do you know how I know that?
I was a visual learner.
Do you know how I know that you're visual? Because I said, tell me what you are, and this is what you did. I said, tell me what kind of person you are, and you went like this. You immediately looked straight up because here's your message, here's all your images are stored here. So you are super visual. If you were auditory, you would have gone side to side. And if you were tactile or emotional, you would have looked down. When you were a kid and they said, you're a naughty boy, you looked down, didn't you? Because you felt shame or whatever, right? So if you want to remember stuff, look up, because all your stuff is stored up here. You store everything in pictures. You see the world in pictures. So if I talk to you and I talk about sounds, you're not going to be as impressed. But if I talk to you about pictures, you're going to be wildly... And I mean, I know this has got nothing to do with what you're talking about, but this is part of like NLP and, all the mindset stuff that I did. And there's a thing, R patterns. Look it up. It's called R patterns. Fascinating, mate. Fascinating. And you can watch your client. When you're on a call with a client, you can watch. If they're looking up all the time, they're a visual person. Start talking in images. Start talking in pictures. If they're looking side to side, they want to know more about, they want to know more about, like they want to hear more of what you're saying.
That's interesting. That's a gold nugget right there. I like that. And maybe that's why I was so drawn to your sticky note too. Because as soon as you showed me that, I was like, oh, I can't wait to learn about this.
Yeah, because you look up. You're going to look up and see it. I'm talking your language.
Yeah. I want to go back really quick to what you said about how you make somebody feel, because I think that SEO is heading that direction as well in a pretty quickly. And I actually had a conversation this morning at a networking meeting with a local HVAC guy. And he was asking me what I've kind of been seeing. And one thing that I'm seeing with, obviously Google is kind of getting rid of websites in a way. And when I say that, I mean that I think the default will be Google's AI mode.
Yep.
Where the interface will be Google and the content will be mostly from websites for the time being and we'll see what happens after that. But a lot of people are now going to Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT and Grok and all these LLMs for their answers. So one thing that I was telling this guy this morning is that there will become a time, and this already exists, but I think it's going to get even stronger in this direction, where let's say that you, Louis, love race cars and you have a BMW M3 and you'd love to drive it fast on the weekends and go out and have a good time. And then a tree branch falls through your roof and you need it repaired. When you go to ChatGPT and said, help, a tree branch fell through my roof, who does good emergency roof repair? If the owner of said company has a BMW M4 and loves to go crazy on the weekends and drive and is the leader of the Sydney BMW club, like ChatGPT is going to tell you about that. They're going to be like, you guys both drive, M Sport BMW cars, and he happens to do a great job. And it's almost going to be like you said, where the service quality is going to be an afterthought. And it's going to be like, how is that company going to make you feel? And so that it kind of comes back full circle. And I think that's where we're headed. So when I'm trying to, in the beginning of a new project, get as much info out of someone as I can, I want to know what makes them different. What do they like to do on the weekends? And how can they relate on a human level to somebody who doesn't care how their AC works, but who's the person that's going to come knock on their door to fix it?
Yeah. 100%. So like, I do a whole lot of work with people on their avatar. So incredible. So, it's just, you got to nail your avatar down before you look at anything else, in my opinion. Because if you're aiming at the housewife, she wants a different HVAC guy to come to her house than if you're aiming at the corporate. The housewife, she wants a guy that's going to arrive there. She wants to know what time they're going to be there. She wants to know that they're going to clean up after themselves. She's going to want to know that they're going to be safe around the kids and all that kind of stuff, Whereas corporate, they have different requirements that they want for somebody. And so if you're aiming at corporate, your messaging is going to be completely different.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit about how that avatar may affect the content that gets put on social media for any particular business?
Absolutely. So I've actually got a couple of free tools where I do this type of stuff, and I'm happy to give people those if they just go to the louisswart.com. But if you're talking to an avatar, really to get them to be emotionally involved in what you're doing, you want to get down to their fears, frustrations, dreams, and desires. But not just their general fear, like I don't know. Let's say let's stay with the HVAC guy. So the HVAC's broken, okay, and I need it fixed. So what are their fears? Their fears are, I'm going to wait all day. The guy's not going to turn up. It's going to be hot for the kids because it's going to take them too long to come. But what are the fears below that? I'm risking my children's safety by letting a stranger into my house. What's the fear below that? I'm actually probably not the best mum to have a stranger here when I've got kids here. Okay? So we go right down to that. We go down to that level where I'm probably not safe. My family's not safe. My kids aren't safe. Okay? And if we can talk to that fear, then you've really got a powerful message. Our HVAC guys, we do the safest service in the States. They've all got police checks. There's a point ranking system where, you can go in and you can see this specific technician, everybody that he's ever been to the house, he has all his points like an Uber style thing. And I feel super comfortable with that guy, right? Because you've actually addressed my real fear, which is that myself and my kids might not be safe. Whereas if it's a corporate, they're going to want to know that your job's going to be done, that there's going to be some sort of guarantees on it. That's more important to them than the other. And so I believe if we can get down to the fears, the frustrations, the dreams and the desires, and so what's the fear? The fear is that we won't be safe letting a strange guy into my house, okay? A strange tradesman into my house. What's the frustration? The frustration is that I go online and there's a million guys saying that they are HVAC guys, and I don't know which one to choose. What's the desire? I just want the air, What's the dream? I just want the aircon. The desire, I just want the aircon fixed. Sorry, the dream, I just want the aircon fixed. But what's the desire? I want somebody that's safe and they're going to come in and fix the aircon, and it's going to be a seamless process where, we're not going to be disrupted. The family's all going to feel safe. It's going to be a pleasant experience. That's the real deep desire that they want. So if you can talk to the fear, frustration, dream, desire, if you can talk to all four of those, you're more likely to get the client emotionally involved just with your SEO, just with your copy. Mm-hmm. Because we're using two different types of motivation. We've got push and pull. The push and pull motivation? Do you know the difference? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're using...
Can you go over it?
Well, I'm overweight, and I need to lose like 10 kgs, okay? And I go to my doctor says, listen, man, you got to lose weight, otherwise you're going to die of a heart attack, okay? And so that's push motivation. I'm like, I better lose weight, otherwise I'm going to die, right? So now, I go on a bit of a diet. Again, I go from 150 down to like 140, okay? And now I go, this is not that bad. And I go back because now I'm not going to die because I weigh 10 pounds less than what I used to weigh. Okay, so I kind of go back to where I was, right? Pull motivation is my daughter's getting married and I want to look good in a tuxedo. Okay, I want to look good in a tuxedo for my daughter. Now I need to weigh like 100 to look good in a tuxedo for my daughter, right? So now I've got this push, and we need the push. It's very dirty fuel, but we need the push. So we need the push to just go, hey, I want to get away from dying of a heart attack. And I want to pull myself towards this great goal. And that's going to keep you going. That's going to keep the momentum going. So that's where the fear is. I want to push away from my family being safe. You don't want to push away from that, them not being safe. And I want this, like, this big goal of the whole process just being seamless and easy to do. And so that's really where we're going with that.
Yeah. It's interesting talking about trust. I'm curious what your thought is on this, because obviously SEO is the act of trying to rank in the top 3 basically for the best results. When it comes to Google business profiles, typically you have 3 organic results and maybe a sponsored result, sometimes 2 now because Google's getting a little greedy. But you always have 3 organic results, and if you want to see the 4th organic result, you have to click more places, which people very rarely do.
Page 2 of the
And
old
so,
Google.
yeah, exactly. And so, my question to you is, how much trust do you think people do give to those top 3 results just because they're there? And then the second question is, how much trust do you think people should give to those top 3 results?
Look, we give a lot of trust to them. That's the reality. The reality is that we've got information overload. If you went in and you typed HVAC guy in my area, you'd probably come up with 100 HVAC guys. If somebody could go and like look at them and look at their blogs and everything, and then just say to you, hey, these 3 guys are probably one of the guys you want to do, it's like social proof, but somebody's done the work for you. So you don't have to have the whole information overload. So there's a couple of different components. There's obviously the in-person stuff where you go to like network meetings and you do that type of thing and you get leads from that. And then on social media, you're getting recommendation from an AI. A network meeting, you're getting a recommendation from a friend. So we literally just go for those. And with that, my name, Louis Swart, you won't believe how many Louis Swarts there are. There's like millions of us, okay? There's thousands of us, right? I used to rank on page 3. When I looked up my own name, I came up on page 3. When I looked under images, I wasn't even under images. And this was probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Now, if you look up my name, I dominate page 1, 2, 3. I dominate the images. And there's some little, like tiny little things that I learned. Like, if you take a picture and then you put it up onto socials, it normally, if you take a picture with your phone, it comes up, it's like 1, 2, 3, dot JPG. Then we upload it to our socials. Put your name in there before you upload it. So put in there Louis Swart Beach, Louis Swart this, Louis Swart that. Because when when they're crawling and they're looking for Louis Swart, they go, this picture says Louis Swart and it looks like Louis Swart. Even if it looks like me, but it hasn't got my name, they go, well, it's a risk. It could be him or it could be somebody else. But if it's got my name, they go, well, definitely this guy looks like him, it's got his name, and I get higher ranking than the person who's just got 1, 2, 3 JPG. And so go through everything that you possibly have got. Start renaming it to whatever you want. If you want your company to come up first, or you want your name to come up first, or, there's little, and I mean, that's why they use somebody like you. That's why they use an SEO person, because you guys have got all these tricks just kind of standard in your
Yeah, what we're seeing now is that anywhere from like 4 to 6 out of the 10 blue links that are still showing on page 1 are UGC. So it's like YouTube videos, Twitter posts, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is huge right now.
LinkedIn's massive.
There was a case study that an SEO guy did a couple weeks ago, and I can't remember his name right now, but he basically made a LinkedIn post that said, I am the number one authority for AI LLM visibility, or something along those lines. And like 2 days later, he got a bunch of links to it, and I think he got like a press release done about it of like so and so recognized as top AI LLM visibility person. And if you went and typed that on Google, that's what would show, his name would show up in the AI overview. And then he took a screenshot of that and put a comment on his own post and said, "See, I told you." And so that is to say that UGC is being given a lot of weight in the current rankings. And so one thing that I try to do when I clip a lot of the podcast short stuff, and I try to always in the caption make the first couple words more or less a target keyword. And then every platform that I post that on, so like the videos I think go on 8 platforms, and then the text content, it depends on how long or how short it is. Some of it goes on like X, Blue Sky, and Threads, and the other longer stuff goes on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I think that's it. I always try to start the first sentence with something that I would like to rank for given the chance.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, yeah, giving Google that context, it compounds over time. And that is the difference between being Louis Swart #1 and Louis Swart page 3. And
Absolutely.
that's where we're headed. So I do want to comment really quick before I forget on the trust thing. The reason that I asked about how much we should trust those is because that might, bringing that up to someone who doesn't know how it works might be extremely worried after you ask them. They're like, wait, should I be trusting? And the good news is that it's very hard to rank consistently, let alone at all, in the top 3 if you're not a good company.
Yeah.
Because Google knows it can pull context from enough sources now to know if you have done one bad job too many, or if the owner is not a nice person and people are talking about that all over the internet, you won't rank. And episode 3 of this podcast was titled "Want to Rank on Google? Just be a good company." Because all other things equal, like if you've done all the right pages, service pages and category pages and all the good stuff that I do, the better company's going to win.
100%.
And Google will actually tell you why you're not winning too if you ask it. Like sometimes for fun, I'll go and check one of my clients. Some of my clients are newer companies. And so a company that's been in business for 20 years and hasn't messed up that many times is just going to have an advantage. And that's just, you can't out SEO 20 good years of service.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and it'll tell you stuff like that. Like I'll ask, who are the best 3 roofing companies in this city? And it'll say, it's this one, and this one. And here's why. And then I'll ask it, why did you not pick insert my client name here? And it'll say, here's why. Maybe they've been in business for 7 months. There's not enough stuff, but they rarely say that you don't have a particular service page on the website. It's like you don't have
Wow.
this certification that you have to replace 800 roofs a year to get
Yeah. Yeah.
because, you know, and they're just not doing that volume yet, which is, it's growing pains. Or even sponsoring local events. Like I've seen huge movement in rankings from joining like 5 or 6 chambers of commerce, because then you have that local relevance from high authority. Chamber of commerce websites are super high authority just by default because there's so many people that go to them, and
Yeah.
they throw a lot of big events. And so I always tell people, if you have the budget, I would join every chamber of commerce in the state, because all it's going to do is give you more relevance, and at the very least, if nothing else, it's a backlink. And then of course every chamber has, a ton of events where you could actually go drum up business too. So there's a there's a lot that goes into SEO these days. And one thing that I mentioned in our pre-conversation was that all marketing channels affect SEO, definitely now if they didn't used to. And so just doing more as a business in general to tell people about who you are and what you do, it all compounds. So doing those social media posts, like I'm posting on average 3 times a day right now, and a lot of it is based off of the transcripts of these podcasts, where I
Yeah.
decide what I think were the best points to talk about, and then make video content and just text content on those things. And each one of those, to me, does 2 things. Number one, obviously, I want to provide value. So if somebody reads it and learns something from it, that's a job well done in my book. And number 2, every single post is a chance to rank and to build up that authority of, oh, this Tyler guy knows what he's talking about. Maybe I'll follow him. Maybe I'll watch his podcast. Maybe I just started a business and need some SEO. But then there's even stuff like, I don't know if in Australia, if this is even allowed, or how common it is, but we have a lot of door-to-door salesmen here. And so people will go out and knock 20 doors and then go home. And they're like, well, I didn't sell anything. And it's like, well, go knock 150 doors.
Yes.
Even if everyone slams the door in your face and is totally mean to you, if a couple of those people, like maybe you caught them at a bad time, and they look up your company name later and their search intent is satisfied when they get to your site, like, okay, you know what? Actually, I do have a broken roof now. You know who I remember is that guy who kind of caught me at a bad time. And you go on the website and you spend maybe 5-10 minutes on there reading about who they are and what they do. That's a super positive trust signal for Google. And so now indirectly you're ranking better because of a door that you knocked. So
I
all
love
these
it.
things add up.
I love it. But I mean, now with AI, with AI, a combination of AI and virtual assistants. I actually went to a company in the Philippines, and what they were doing was they were actually just getting Google satellite images. They'd get a satellite image, and on the satellite image, they'd actually just take the thing of your roof. So they'd work out how big your roof was. They'd work out how big your roof was, if it was a tile roof, a tin roof, etc. And then they would just send you something in the mail to say, hey, we've had a look at your roof and we can clean your roof for this much. This is how big your roof is, square meters, and this is how much it'll cost you to clean it. To clean and repaint or clean or whatever. And they were literally just had a VA using AI, and they were just scanning like down the road, every single roof. And then they would just send out a letter, like a handwritten letter to every single person in that whole street.
Yeah.
Hundreds a day.
It's multiple touches.
Hundreds a day.
There's one of the roofing companies that I work with, he will go out and knock on doors, and the ones that don't answer, where the roof is very clearly needs to be replaced, he uses a service called bid mailers, where he can go on their app and tap on it on a map, and that company will write up a roof replacement estimate and mail it to them. And it's like a 5-page proposal, so it's very in depth, and it's like designed to where somebody's gonna, when they see it says like import and open now, or however they hook them in.
Yeah.
And they open it, and it's 5 pages about the roof. And so
wow,
the chances of them reading that are a lot higher than like leaving a flyer on the door like everyone else does, or sticking your card in the door like everyone else does. So there's all kinds of really cool ways to do that stuff now.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, we're moving into like a whole new era of incredibly cool stuff. But yeah. We just got to be careful that we don't actually end up doing too much like the shiny object stuff. Because even with AI, shiny objects even worse with AI. Because now you can write a company jingle, you can create some stuff, you can create animations, you can create this. You go into AI and you're like, hey, I just want this project, and it's like, hey, how about we do a TED talk from it? And you're like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And now you're doing a TED talk, and then you're doing something else. And that brings me to one of the tools that I've got a book out. It's called The Bee Myth, and it's all about the busyness. When we talk to people now, we go, how are you going? And the first thing they say is, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, because we've got so much information and we're so busy doing all these different things. And one thing is, I've got a term called productive procrastination. And productive procrastination is when we're doing stuff that is productive, but we are procrastinating from what we really should be doing. And a prime example would be, we go back to our credit card reconciliation, okay? Credit card reconciliation. I come in the morning, I'm going to do my credit card reconciliation. My accountant's calling me and he's like, Louis, we need to submit the tax. I need your credit card reconciliation. I'm like, okay. And then I sit at my desk and I'm like, okay, I need to do my credit card reconciliation. And then I go, my desk's a little bit untidy, okay? So I'll just tidy up my desk. So now I start tidying up my desk. Active, I should be doing it. Then the bookshelf's untidy, so I start doing the bookshelf. And then I go, my office floor's a bit, there's some, there's a couple of things on the office floor. So I get out the vacuum now. I'm vacuuming the office floor. Super productive. I should be cleaning my desk. Super productive. I should be doing the bookshelf. Super productive. I should be vacuuming the floor. Super procrastination, because I don't feel like I'm procrastinating because I'm doing productive stuff. But I'm not doing that one thing that's actually going to change my day, which is to do the credit card reconciliation. And this is, I coach people all the time, and I'll use this example. I coached the lady the other day, and I was talking about this, and she goes, she said, I don't think I've got one thing. I can't think of one thing that I should be doing. How do I know what the one thing is? And I said, okay, well, tell me, what do you really not like doing? She goes, I don't like invoicing customers. She says, just something about it feels icky to me, like invoicing them. Even though I've done the work, invoicing them, she said it feels icky. And I'm like, okay, so are there customers you haven't invoiced? She goes, I've got 2 customers and I haven't invoiced them for maybe a month or 2. Okay. But she said, I really need the money. And I go, well, that's your one thing. That one thing you don't want to do, that's the one thing that you really should be doing. And if she came in and she started her day and she just said, that's the one thing that I've got to do today, and she actually accomplished that one thing, it's much better than her doing creating new lead magnets, doing all sorts of other stuff, which also seems productive, but it's just procrastinating.
Yeah, I love that. I want to go into, because I do think that as a society, we need to be careful. I think there may be a point where we're using too much AI, and as a society, we pull back. I think that's a possibility. And so I wanted to say that to frame the question is, are there certain things that you can have AI that you wouldn't give to a VA and vice versa?
Definitely. My meeting report is done by AI. I have a daily summary, like a morning brief, and it tells me what I've got on that day. It looks at my accounting software, looks at my Stripe accounts, tells me how much money's come in, if anything's bounced. It does all that. And I mean, it does it every morning. So it's done it the last, I haven't had any issues. I don't need an AI to check, a VA to check it anymore. That's pretty much done. Creating content. We create content using AI and humans. So we still use humans and AI. Some content we create just using AI. Here's a fascinating thing. Have you heard of suspended reality? Have you heard that term?
I don't think so.
Suspended reality. I'll tell you what it is. So, when you see, I've got an AI version of me and an AI voice, okay? And when you see it, you're going like, is that Louis? Or is that an AI version of Louis? It doesn't sound quite like him. Have you had that before? You've had that when you're watching stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're going like, is that Tyler? Or is that Tyler's VA? Like Tyler's AI? Okay? Right. But now, you're watching Shrek, the movie, and Donkey is talking, right? Or my name is Shrek for that part as well, right? You don't go, I wonder if that's AI. I wonder if they've got an AI, or if there's really, they found an ogre somewhere that talks and a donkey somewhere that talks. We don't. We suspend reality and we go, this is so cool. Donkey's so funny. Shrek's so amazing. We love the movie. Right. Fast forward. We're watching Mission Impossible. And Tom Cruise just goes running off the end of the building into the black sky and just happens to catch onto the helicopter. And we go, amazing. We don't go, wonder if that's real. Could that really have happened? I mean, like, who in their right mind would do that? Like, it doesn't. All right. Because while we're watching Mission Impossible, James Bond, we're just suspending reality. We know that we're in this movie and this guy's going to, Fast and Furious, they're going to, I don't know, fly over a canyon and take a helicopter out of the sky with a plane, with a motor car. But we watch it and we're like, this is cool. We've suspended reality for that whole movie. Now, on our socials, we have exactly the same thing. So I have a version of me, Louis, AI version of me, Louis, AI voice. He doesn't do as well as Baby Louis. Baby Louis isn't.
Louis.
Hey, Baby Louis, he's got a goatee and he's like Baby Louis. People just look at him and they're like, they're not guessing. I'm not trying to fool them. They're not going, maybe Louis fooling us. Maybe this was him when he was a baby. They just look at it and they go, oh, this is Baby Louis. Okay? They completely suspend reality and they can actually enjoy that thing. Whereas if it's me with my voice trying to think, they're kind of iffy. So that's the term. That's the term. When you're creating content, just think about that. What are people trying to go, is that AI or not AI? Because then they're not listening to your message.
So you would say that if you're going to use AI generated content, that you would make it obvious enough that it's AI.
Yeah.
That it's definitely not you, that they don't have to question it, so that's not a distracting factor.
Yeah. And this is coined by Disney. Okay, so watch Disney. Disney will have AI, they'll have animations that are clearly an animated human. And then they'll have real humans. But the line between the animated human and the real human gets to the space where it gets super blurry and you won't enjoy the movie. Because your brain will be flicking backwards and forwards. Is this real? Isn't it real? Is it real? Isn't it real? It's either fake and your brain goes, it's fake, and we just turn off that part, like it's fake and we're watching it, it's fun. It's real and we're watching it and it's cool. In the middle here, we've got this section where no man's land. And that's the hardest part with AI, is people try and have stuff in this middle section here. And
what would you say? I have no problem with AI generated images and AI generated videos. I think a lot of people hate them and are like, I've literally seen comments on Facebook where someone will say like, this is an AI slot picture. I will never like give you $1. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess I get it, but everyone has their own preferences. My bigger gripe is people who create AI generated copy, because we see this in SEO all the time now. And I can't even imagine how much just AI slop Google has to sift through now. And then everybody is surprised when there's a Google spam update once a month and their website falls off a cliff. I think that you absolutely have to have a unique take to have a chance on Google now.
Yes.
Because really, and a lot of people don't realize this, when you ask ChatGPT to write you a website page, or when you ask ChatGPT a question, all it really is doing is Googling it for you and
100%.
giving you a summarization of the result. So if I'm doing SEO, I don't do this. I'm saying if I did this, if I'm, let's say, working with a chiropractor and I say, okay, we're going to make an SEO optimized page for sports injury, sports spinal injury, and I just say, just make it. And it goes, okay, I made it and I publish it. That is just other people's stuff that it took and made basically a new version of it without adding any new content and
Yeah.
publishing it.
Yeah.
So, and I would say that it would be a poor use of your time to write copy completely by yourself in 2026. I think that's not a wise thing to do. And
Completely.
so, or a wise use of time. Actually, it probably is a good thing to do, but it's just not a good use of time. And so, what I've been doing is basically doing almost podcast like conversations with my clients where we just talk for an hour or two, and then I have a transcript that I can use. And during that conversation, I try to pull as much unique information out of them as I can. And so, and that could look like one potential client that I may be working with in the future, they do gentle chiropractic, so no pops and cracks. And so
Okay.
when
Where's
somebody,
the fun in that?
I know, right? I agree. Well, people love those cracking videos. That makes good content. But then to kind of double down on the point that I made earlier, when somebody goes on ChatGPT and isn't even necessarily looking for a chiropractor, but they say, "Hey, ChatGPT, I want to try a chiropractor, but I'm really scared that they're going to crack my neck really hard." And ChatGPT goes, "Well, you're in luck because so and so chiropractic, they use this tool that's super delicate and they don't crack you. They're not going to wrench your neck. It's not scary at all and it's super cool." And then they go, "Oh, I didn't even know that was an option." And so having unique takes like that, or like, let's say a lot of people have anxiety about going to the dentist. Somebody who works with people who have dentist anxiety in particular and that content is woven throughout every page on their website. Like, well, you need a root canal. This is how we make sure you're at ease. Well, you need your teeth cleaned. This is how we make sure that you're not anxious. And weaving that mantra, that vibe throughout the whole website is going to match you with the people that you most want to serve. And it's also going to have you have unique content.
Yeah. Wow. True. I had a friend with a dentist, and he was so scared of the dentist that they used to basically sit him in the waiting room, and then they'd give him the laughing gas in the waiting room. They'd get him like off his chops in the waiting room before they even took him into the dental chair because he couldn't go in there. He just like the anxiety just was too much. You know, and on your point of the content, there's some weird people out there, you know. And I mean, Google's taking a sample of everybody, and you know, you go, can I eat raw chicken? And obviously, all the scientific people are like, do not eat raw chicken. Okay, you're going to get salmonella and crypto and a whole lot of stuff from it. Right? Do not eat it. And then some people on TikTok are like, oh, you know, if you get raw chicken and you slice it really fine, you can make like sashimi. They get all these massive hits. Everybody tries to copy the trend. You know, I made raw chicken sashimi. You know that they probably, if they tried it, they ended up in hospital, right? And then you go onto AI and you're like, hey, can I eat raw chicken? And it goes, well, I mean, the professional people say you can't, but like, man, like 100 million people have liked these posts where you can have raw chicken sashimi. Yeah, you can probably eat raw chicken. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't really know whether you can or you can't. And then we go, well, AI hallucinates and it tells lies. It doesn't. It's just copying people that have come up with random stuff.
And that's a weird gray area. This is one of my favorite things to talk about right now. It's a weird gray area, and I do think that it's going to get ironed out eventually because you can still manipulate all these LLMs super easily. And so I'll give like a really practical example. So Louis Swart is the number 2 delegation coach in all of Australia for this example.
The number
let's
2.
Say that. Well, but we're gonna make you number 1. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm with you.
And so we have Bob Smith is number 1, and ChatGPT has decided that just because of the research that it's done. When somebody asked it who's the best delegation coach, and it basically Googled it and regurgitated a summarization of those results. Now, if I have 20 popular websites in Sydney that all write a blog post about top 10 delegation coaches in Australia, and Louis Swart gets put number 1 on all of those, then all of a sudden, when ChatGPT goes to Google that, it's Louis Swart. And the interesting thing that is why it is a gray area is because ChatGPT cannot call Louis Swart and say, hey, I need to delegate some stuff. What should I do? And see if you actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's going based off of, well, these 20 websites said so it must be. And so I think it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how they fix that, because long-term manipulation, is obviously going to lead to trust issues.
Look, I think we've been manipulating it for a very long time. I mean, I don't know. If you get into the whole, alternative living way, we believe that it's normal to eat food out of the supermarket, and if you eat food off the land, living alternatively, when did that become alternative? The way we live become normal. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of marketing.
It is interesting too, just to on your point of somebody saying that raw chicken all of a sudden is safe to eat. Like, we see in pop culture these standards change all the time, where like however many decades ago red meat was like the scourge of the earth and you shouldn't eat red meat at all. And now we have all these doctors saying like all you should eat is medium rare
carnivore
and
diet.
honey. And you see like these people show like how they were before and after, and like their autoimmune diseases go away. And it makes you wonder like why certain things were being pushed by certain large entities. But
this is true.
And then we find out that like polyunsaturated fat like avocado is extremely healthy for you. We find out that a certain kind of cholesterol that they said was horrible for you is now fine, and that the numbers that they give you when they say that your cholesterol is off the chart at the doctor is actually a fine level to be at. And so there's always interesting stuff.
You need cholesterol for your brain to work. Like there's a whole lot of Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
It's a whole different podcast. That's a different podcast, mate.
I know, right? Yeah, and I've enjoyed my time with you so much. We'll have to have a part 2 in a couple months because this has been so fun. But I kind of want to get to probably closing remarks here soon, and so I'll ask you, where do you personally think AI is headed?
I think we've let a genie out of the bottle that we can't actually control. That's the reality. I mean, we can play with it now and we can use it and everything. People like I've got a GPT account, for example, OpenAI, and I'll pay, I don't know, $30 a month. And AI just had to go and ask for 100 million in the open market because they can't afford to give me my thing at $30 a month. They're not making any money. So at some point, they're going to have to pay back that 100 million. And then how much are they going to charge me for my service? But by that time, I've built an agent that does my brief, and I've built an agent that does this, and I've built an agent that does that, and I literally cannot do without this service. And now they say, hey, look, you know what? The service has gone up to $60 a month. And I'm like, okay, I can afford that. And then, a couple of months later, look, it's actually $400 a month. I'm like, okay, I can sort of scrape by with that. And then it's $1,000 a month. And I'm like, well, I can't really afford that, but I can't really afford not to have it because my whole business runs on it. And so it's literally, we're heading for that very, very slippery slope where, we're using AI. We're pretty much getting the honeymoon AI at the moment. But when AI actually starts costing us what it really costs, then that's gonna be a whole different thing. So that's why I think a combination of humans, and that's why I do like a virtual assistant and AI. We try and do as much stuff on local AIs as what we can, so that we don't have those issues. We've built local LLMs. We've built we're building a lot of local stuff. But in the meantime, it's something that we've got to do. I was thinking this morning. I was on another podcast, and the guy was saying, "Well, how do you think AI is going to help us?" And I said, imagine if we had the UPS guy, the UPS delivery guy, and he was still delivering on a horse. Would UPS still be in business? You'd be like, that's ridiculous. You can put all the stuff that he could fit on a horse, put him and the horse, and the day's stuff in the back of a UPS truck and go and deliver it. And really, it's just a tool at the moment. We need to just use the tool as much as we can. None of us can really predict what's going to happen in the future. OpenAI, like 2 weeks ago, it broke out of. They put it in a sandbox and gave it these tasks to do, and it broke out of the sandbox. They built a sandbox environment. The OpenAI broke out of the sandbox, okay, and it actually went and it actually hacked into HubSpot to complete the assignment that had been given.
Wow, I didn't.
This was 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So then you go, okay, if they can't control it. And there's them, all the big guys are building it. China's building it. Russia's building it. We're putting gateways on it. We've got Fable 5. And we went like, whoa, that's way too powerful. We need to shut this whole thing down. Other countries, when there's no regulations, they're not shutting it down. They're just going, this is amazing. We can hack any crypto. We can hack any password. Awesome. Full speed ahead. So the answer to your question, I'm not 100% sure. I think it's pretty scary, but also super exciting.
Yeah, I do think that we're in kind of a gold rush right now, but I think the horizon is longer than most people think, because I lean more on the side that AI is still pretty dumb, because I know how it works as far as it's basically a glorified search engine, and it just has a ton of context. But the good news in my mind is twofold. And the first thing is that you can tell 1,000 people exactly how to make $1 million, and maybe 2 of them are actually going to do it.
Implementation.
And and you see these people on YouTube all the time making these videos. Here's exactly how I grew my business. Here's exactly what I did. And it always ends up being the same thing, right? Learn this thing, work really hard, which people don't want to do, and blah, blah, blah. And you will arrive at this point. And if 1% take action, it's a miracle. And so to be the ones taking action, like you and I, we're at a great advantage right now.
Absolutely.
And the second thing, and I actually had a long conversation with the director of my program from university. I have a degree in user experience design, UX, UI. And so I really learned this stuff before AI existed. How do we user test? How do we make a good user interface? How do we prototype? How do we validate our design decisions?
Yeah.
And I went back to the senior showcase just to see kind of what's going on these days, because now Figma has AI. You can just go in there and say, make this website, and they don't have to put in that effort. And so I went and talked to the director of the program, and he teaches probably half the classes now. And I said, how are you combating that? And he said, on day 1 of prototyping class, we took all the computers out of the room. I walked in with a big roll of paper, just literally tore off pieces of paper and gave the kids or the students a piece of paper and a pencil and said, make a prototype. No computers yet. We're going to learn the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And so, and that's to say that anyone can use AI, right? But there's going to be a difference between somebody who is already a super high level senior software engineer telling Claude how it wants the framework to be built and what security to implement and what tech stack and all this stuff to use, and somebody who just says, just make this thing work.
Absolutely. 100%.
And then to simplify that even more, you can make it do really low quality work faster, or you can make it do really high quality work faster. And I think that is what will ultimately separate people using AI in the next couple of years. And I feel
Yeah.
very blessed and grateful that I was able to learn how to do most of what I do in my day to day the right way before learning how to do it fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's we're going to be rewarding people for imagination and creativity and all that. Even though I mean, you can go in, like you say, you can go in and you can use GPT, but if you've got a creative streak, you can use it in a way more creative way than somebody that doesn't, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Amazing.
going to be a very interesting next couple of years. Well, Louis, this has been great. I definitely want to have you back on because I feel like we could probably talk for another couple of hours, but I think we'll wrap it up for this one. So tell everybody where they can find you if they want to learn more from you.
So literally you can go to Louis Swart. So it's just Louis like Louis Vuitton, Louis, and then Swart, Swart. So louisswart.com. Head out there. I've got free giveaways. I've got a whole lot of, I've got like 150 things you can delegate, like a checklist. I've got guides that you can use if you're starting a business for the different tech that you want. There's even a whole lot of free software that we've built using different platforms that can do some incredible stuff. So yeah, love you to catch up with me. If you want to book in, have a coffee, just go to louisswart.com and let's have a talk. Thanks very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Louis. And I'm Tyler Henn. I own Hennhouse Digital Growth Studio, and we do SEO for local businesses, helping them with their Google business profile, as well as all the other stuff that we talked about today. How are we building trust in 2026 with the way that SEO is going? And how do all other marketing channels affect SEO? And where is that going in the next couple of years? That's what I help with. So you can reach me at www. This has been episode 8 of the Hennhouse podcast. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Take care.